Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy podcast.
Hey everybody, Kenny Cotman,
Lewis Crawford,
And I'm Tom Ramage, the Jersey Guy.
Hello. How are you doing, my peoples?
how you doing, bro?
What's
Good?
going on?
Everybody's chilling?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
good.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
Here for another fun-filled episode.
Oh, another podcast.
Another amazing podcast.
Absolutely.
You have to say that. This way you say it, and then people believe it, and people are like, yo, it's amazing.
You need to believe it, bro.
So,
Yes.
This episode, we're going to do the 90s, but first, Lou has a shout out.
I do. I have a quick shout out to a young man who helped me out get my generator hooked up. DGE Contracting.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Giordano. He does free estimates. His email is, hold on, my phone kaputs on me. Dom Giordano 33 at gmail.com. He's a good kid, responsible, prompt, everything. He did a fantastic job. So if you're looking for somebody, you want to get good work done, someone who's responsible, this is the kid to contact. 845-649-8992. And Dominic, thank you.
Yeah.
Dominic.
Don't forget.
Hey, Dominic.
Yeah. Well, we're in Pennsylvania, down by the Hudson Valley and
Yeah, Port Jervis. But I believe he does.
So, well, I'm just saying, so that people now turn around, they're calling him because, our listeners are over in
Yeah.
In Philippines or something like that. Yeah.
Can you come down here this weekend?
Yeah, we don't go to the Philippines. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we had a couple of listeners overseas too. So
Yeah, we do actually.
right, exactly. So that then now,
Which is pretty cool. I'm like,
yeah,
England?
Yeah.
Across the pond.
that's freaking hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do an episode on the 90s because, I found this channel on, I'm going to look them up real quick on Instagram. There's a channel that is like 90s. I think it's like retro 90s now then. And they post these like really amazing 90s retro now it's called. They do these videos of like all these 90s stuff. And it got me thinking like the 90s are like the Gen Xers 60s, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like a lot of stuff was happening in that time. It was like a big, there was like, you know what I mean? It was like the end of like an era where like, we're all on social media now and like everybody's on the internet. Like they had the internet in the 90s, right? But like, it was a computer in someone's house and you had to dial it up. Like it wasn't like it is now.
Right.
So it was still like, it was like the last end of before like things like
Started to take off.
like drastically changed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff in the 90s.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff. Well, first of all, my kids were super young, right? My daughter was born in 86. My son was born in 89. And then the 90s came, so I was still in my 20s.
Right.
I was still going out, going to clubs, dance music, right? Everything, the music was good too, because it went from freestyle and then it just progressed, right?
Right.
90s, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. 54 years, right?
Yeah.
They won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, that's great.
That was huge. I went to that parade with my friend Frankie. I went to the parade when they won. That was great.
shit.
I have pictures and everything with them holding the cup. Yeah, it was great. So there was a lot of good things. And I think the Yankees won a few World Series, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they won like 3
I think they did, yes, actually.
90s. But like also like the music in that time was like the end of like I think like I'm not gonna say people are like, oh, rock died. It's just like it lost its momentum after the 90s. You know what I mean? 90s was like, it was like the peak of like, like the like alternative scene and all
the
that.
grunge.
Yeah.
Well, that was great music.
Yeah,
Man. I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say it just changed. Rock music just changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think
like
that
new metal thing kind of happened in the early 2000s,
Yeah, definitely.
And I think technology has made it easier for people to kind of bite off of other stuff and use stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the sampling.
And not being as original as people who actually worked hard for it before all that stuff came to light.
Right.
Like rock bands and everything. They did the shows, they went to clubs, they traveled in a van or whatever it was they did, you know what I mean? But
I get it.
But technology changes things, and it's just a matter of way things,
Right.
goes,
Yeah. Like that's
what I
when
mean?
like Eric, when he was here last, that, I was asking him and I was saying that there's no original music anymore. And he was like, no, there is. You know?
Yeah.
Remember? Because he was saying that it's just the tone, the note. So you could do, a C flat, but it's how you drag it out or shorten the C flat when you play it, that it becomes something new. I understood what he's saying. I think we're both kind of right on it, but I'll talk about it, when he comes back.
Right.
When I'm sitting on that side of the table this way, because he's a big dude.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk something like that.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? But but the 90s, bro, it was groovy in the 90s.
I love the 90s. It was great, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of good stuff. And I thought the music and the dance music was good for back then. And going to the club and hanging out, it was... And the clothes were a little funky, but, whatever.
Oh,
they
were
the crazy, remember the crazy pants? That used to come up. Remember they had to strap the thing, remember, bro? With the nice crazy shoes. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Everything was neon, man.
Oh, the greens and all that.
Yeah, colors were crazy. Like for hip hop, we were still wearing the coveralls.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. The clothes were baggy, big baggy shirts.
Right. That's like the early 90s look, right?
Yeah.
All that early 90s stuff with the colorful clothes.
Right. And then it just
everything
progressed.
Was fucking neon. I remember pictures from when I was in that age. I was like in the early 90s, I was like in my middle school age. I was just looking at pictures from going on vacation down the shore, and I had like these neon shirts and the neon hat. And then, what was the thing that was popular in the 90s? Everybody rocked this shirt. It was the Looney Tunes where they were dressed like they were all...
Oh, I remember that one. I had that. I actually had that shirt.
I had the Bugs Bunny one, bro.
I had that shirt.
Matter of fact, I think I still have it. I think it's still in storage, bro.
Absolutely.
Shit, man. Yeah,
gotta bring that out once in a while,
Dude, you know what? If I find it, I'm gonna wear that shit.
It'd be fun to have a 90s party where everybody's gotta be 90s. You know what I mean? Like everybody...
Right. We should do that.
People wear some old cologne, like Cool Water or some shit.
God. Right. Back then, I still had my hair.
Dracar.
Yeah, you can wear a wig.
I had a great hair.
You can wear a wig.
Yes.
I still have my hair, and it looked damn good if I don't say so myself.
That would be her fucking hilarious.
I'm not wearing a wig.
No. Well,
this is what it is, and that's it.
Funny.
Well, no, I just meant for the...
I'm not going to be George Costanza and throw a thing on my head. No, we're not doing that.
Party, bro.
No, he said 90s party. Okay. I just said, that's a good idea. Then he said wig, and I said, no, that's not a good idea.
That's a great idea. Well, what was your favorite thing for you in the 90s?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was being a kid at that MTV.
Well, how old were you at that time?
Like real MTV back then was that was the shit. How old? What was it?
You were about 10 years younger than us, right?
Yeah, I was so in the early 90s I was in middle school.
Okay.
And then like mid and late 90s high school.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I graduated high school in 90s.
You were already out of high school.
Yeah, exactly. I was already out of high school.
I was partying.
But to me, MTV was like that was like everything to everybody, all the kids in my age then. Everything was, everything we watched was like based on
Road Rules.
Road Rules.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Real World.
Real World. Then that and
Bach, I saw you stuck your finger on the peanut butter.
Bro, remember that?
Stuck your finger.
Yes, that was great, man. See, because I had already moved to Florida.
Yeah.
I lived in Cape Coral. I moved out there in early 90s. I can't remember what year it was. And it was different. Like New York 90s was way different than, like it was, I guess, like you said, MTV. It was what we saw on TV.
Yeah.
LA was the same thing. But up down in Florida, I was like, what the fuck is this? Does anybody have TV in this bitch?
And I used to love they had this show at late at night on Saturdays called Headbangers Ball.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that.
Like heavy metal. They're playing like fucking Pantera and shit like that.
Yeah, I do remember. Awesome. That was great.
There was a resurgence of it in the early 2000s. And then just fizzled out again.
Remember when they used to do Unplugged? Was that in the 90s too? When they did Unplugged? And VH1 also did something as well where they had the bands, they would do an acoustic version of what they would know. I love that.
Unplugged is like the most famous Unplugged
it was amazing.
Ever. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yep.
That was good. Kiss did one too as well.
Right. And then they had hip hop one too.
Oh, yeah. That's
Video
right.
Music Box.
Yeah.
But that was probably early, that was more in the 80s. It finished off later on.
But I think that was Eric Clapton the very first Unplugged that they did, and it was that was
that's a good question.
I remember remember Borders Books of Music. Every time I'd walk in that store,
Wow.
that's another '90s.
That's
thing.
another 90s thing. Absolutely.
That fizzled out. And like every time I walked in the music section, they had that like on 24/7. You know, Layla with the acoustic version.
Yeah.
That's why. So when 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, I remember that scene when he goes, I have nothing against, I forget what the thing is, but if I hear Yamo be there one more time, I'm going to Yamo blow my brains out or something like that. But so I thought that was funny because every time I walked into Borders and Books, it was Layla. They were just like,
right.
It was the Eric Clapton Unplugged, like 24/7.
So Unplugged, it first came on in 89.
Okay, all right. Well, it was a year early.
Featuring Squeeze, Sid Straw, and Elliot Easton.
Yeah.
That was who the first ones were.
VH1 also did their own version of that too.
Yeah, and VH1 used to be a separate, like until they like merged.
Yeah.
So it was like the competitor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what also was big in the 90s? Remember Fur Babies?
Fur Babies.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That crazy, like everybody went on this kick with that.
Oh, Furbies.
And I remember
Furbies.
I'm sorry, that's right. My apologies.
Furbies.
I know what you mean.
Furbies.
Yeah.
And they were impossible to get.
Yeah.
They were like,
Elmo.
everybody wanted
Tickle
one.
Me Elmo.
That was early 90s?
That was 90s, yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit, I thought it was like 2000s.
They were released in 98.
Yeah. Oh, so late
The
90s.
Furbies. So it was late 90s, but it was still 90s.
Yeah.
Furbies. Jesus Christ.
There was a hamster-like creature. It was top of everyone's Christmas list for the holiday season. Yeah, because everybody wanted one.
I didn't.
And then the face, no, I didn't want it either. But my mom got them. She got them for the kids because they were little or whatever. She got them for them. But I remember them. It was a whole big thing, you know.
Yeah, Furbies. Fuck that.
And that's
shit.
when
That was
McDonald's came out with the supersize their meals, where you could supersize your meals in the 90s.
That's funny, and it put an end to that, right? The
right.
The Supersize Me movie.
Oh, that's
You ever
right.
see that movie?
Yeah. Oh my God, damn.
Oh my, you never seen? You got to see that.
Yeah,
movie.
you got to see it.
We're gonna digress a little bit about that movie, right? Yeah. So there's this guy. He decides that he is going to eat.
Oh, I
McDonald's
do know the show.
Yeah,
I do know
it. Eat McDonald's every day.
He almost died.
And they had the doctor come to him. They did like a medical thing, and then when he finished, it was like the results like drastically changed. But he like, if they asked him, would you like that supersized? He had to say yes. That was part of his own rules.
Yep.
So that's why they called the movie Supersize.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Now that you bring it up, and you obviously went into detail, now it definitely.
The craziest thing is, if you get the DVD of that, they have extra scenes, and there's a scene where he has the jars, and it's fucking gross. He gets a burger from just a regular burger joint, puts it in a jar, French fries from the regular burger joint, put them in the jar. He puts a McDonald's cheeseburger in another jar,
and McDonald's fries
in the other jar. And like every week, he's taking a video of him like slowly breaking down in the jars and decomposing the McDonald's fries. After like 6 or 7 months, it just like didn't look like they changed at all. They looked like they did day one.
Yeah.
Wow.
While the burger, like from the mom and pop place, like right away started growing fuzz on it, and
Right, mold and everything.
Yeah.
but like the fries, they don't fucking
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, the best
That
fries
is
in the
scary.
fucking planet.
Yeah.
And they don't fucking.
Yeah, you know what's on that? You know what they do to the potatoes, right? McDonald's.
that
I just saw this the
video.
other day. They actually because they want a certain potato. I forgot which potato it was, but it's a certain potato, and they can't have all the little scars on them and all that. All right, but then they use chemicals.
Yeah,
to
because
get it
scars come from a bug or whatever,
Right.
so they treat the shit out of it.
Right, they treat the shit out of it.
And then they got it, and they have it's got so much insecticide in it that they have to put it in these sheds, and they have to gas off because it's poisonous gas,
Right.
for like 3 days.
So
There you
and
go.
then they can take them,
Right.
and use them.
That's right.
And they use that potato because it's a long potato, so you get that bouquet look coming
Yeah,
out.
see?
Yeah.
There you
That's
go. So
crazy.
it's the chemicals that make the McDonald's French fries.
Yeah, but
So
they're bad
good.
for you because you
Listen.
can die.
Yeah.
The same with the salt that's on
Well,
it.
you know
too.
what though? You look at it like that. You know, yeah, it could be bad for you, but
What do you mean could?
well, think you won't get
And
any
you
kind
know
of fuzz.
McDonald's fries. Do you know McDonald's fries aren't vegan?
Huh?
Why?
Oh,
what
that's-
do they use?
They have natural beef flavoring
Right.
in the oil. In the
Get
cooking
the
oil.
fuck
yeah,
out
yeah.
of here. Really?
Yeah, I think there's like beef tallow in there or cow tallow.
Are you serious?
Yeah, in the fryer oil, yeah.
Wow.
To give it to give it its flavor.
There you go.
But in Europe, it's vegan. They don't do that in Europe.
See?
Right. Because they're smart in Europe.
Yeah, well,
There you go. Welcome to the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the 90s. Exactly.
Yeah, that's when they started the chemicals and everything,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Dude.
man.
Well, not started, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you saw the results of the steroids and the aminos and all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
So we're talking about the early 90s for a bit, So you get like the late 90s and things start changing too.
Right.
You know what I mean? You see like a resurgence in like different types of music. You're getting like this new metal scene with like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all those bands.
Right.
It was a crossover music.
Yeah, and then you got like Marilyn Manson kind of appearing.
Yeah, he showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins
Yup.
were big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were in the early and mid.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were really good. They were a good band.
And you know what? They stood the test of time. Their music still sounds good.
Yeah, I love it. Their music
lot
is
of
good.
it-
My friend Anthony turned me on to that. That was the first time I ever heard Smashing Pumpkins. We went to Long Island to go hang out with him. I think it was like a 4th of July weekend or something.
Yeah.
And he had it playing in his truck the whole time, man. And I was like,
See,
turned on immediately.
I was introduced to all that music when I lived in Florida because that's when I was living in Florida when the Woodstock.
Yeah.
They did that second Woodstock.
Right. Which actually wasn't at the original Woodstock.
No, right,
It
yeah,
at a
it was
different
like,
place,
yeah.
right.
But I was like, oh snap, this is great. And I'm listening to it, and my roommate, this guy named Jerry, and we were like, yeah, we was stuck. I was like, wow. He goes, you don't listen to none of that. I was like, hell no, what the fuck is this? And I was like, dude, I was hooked after that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is it.
Well, you got a really large sound.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do. It was bananas, but
Go ahead.
Yeah, so no, I was saying like, so in the beginning of the episode, I mentioned how like it's the 90s is like, this is like the 60s for the Gen Xers and like early millennial people. But when I say I'm not saying that they're the same. Like I'm just saying like that's the era,
Right, the way everything shifted.
Yeah. Not like it's completely different.
Right.
The 60s was more, there was a lot of, I mean, people were doing drugs in the 90s too, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like the way it was in the 60s.
Right.
So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it was just like if you're a Gen Xer or like maybe the younger side of the millennials, like that is like the time when like there was so much happening and like that was like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, I believe that every 20 years is when we see the change.
Absolutely.
And stuff. Because like you said, the 60s, for us, I really believe all day it was the 80s. The 80s, the 80s, all the things that were coming out in
That's
the 80s
true.
that we didn't
Yeah,
think
well, that was our
too.
that was ours, you know what I'm saying? And then
and the 90s too.
Right, but it was the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and when I think that a lot of the change, because a lot of the fashions that we had in the 80s was still,
it was more early 90s for us.
It was early 90s stuff, mid 90s. So that then, like I said, mid 90s into the 2000s, I think that's when it changed.
Okay.
I think that people became more aware.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of different things in the 90s. People were more comfortable in their skin.
Yeah.
And
there was more. I say there's more human factor.
yes, right. That's what I'm saying.
It's less
Yeah,
human now.
And then-
on our devices, whether we're communicating, to each other on our devices, no voice,
Right.
we're
And people were allowed to have humor without having to worry about
yeah, exactly.
always having
I know what
to
you mean. Yeah.
upset somebody or you had like now you got to watch everything you say, everything. If God forbid you say the wrong thing or whatever, and then they zero in on it, right?
Yep.
It wasn't like that. If it was funny, it was funny. It didn't matter. Like wasn't The Living Color in the 90s as well? That was like one of the funniest freaking shows.
Yeah.
The funniest people on the shows. Right? And they did everything on that show, bro. They did not care. They did it whether you were white or black or whatever it was.
They got everybody.
They made fun of everything in such a good way. It was like one of the
early 90s.
the best shows ever on TV. Absolutely. I look forward to seeing that.
That show, if you want to get an idea what fashion was like in the early 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Watch that show. You'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, it was out there.
Yeah.
With the
1990 is Living Color.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
April 15th, 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so funny.
Yeah.
And it only lasted 4 years.
I know.
And that bananas.
Now, can you imagine that show on now?
Oh, dude, listen. But you can't imagine half of those shows now. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
It was just, listen, in Living Color, was good. Did you watch it? Like,
oh yeah, I watched it religiously.
Yeah.
My friends, we couldn't wait to talk about it the next morning.
Yeah.
Lining up for school. We'd be like, did you watch A Living Color yesterday? We
we loved it.
Oh my God, yes, I'm done. You know, we start doing.
I don't want to be with the fire like that. No, that's a bad idea. Yep. Wait, was it
the dating game when he did the dating game?
Oh, dude.
With what's her name? Oh God, what character did he play? Shanae.
And you know what?
Yeah.
He was. You know what's
I'll
funny?
rock
too,
your
because-
world.
Because at that
Jamie
time, like
Foxx.
people didn't even know his name yet. People were just
Right.
like, he's the white guy in A Living Color.
But-
You know what I
and
mean?
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
And he thanks them till this day.
Yeah, that's where he got
That
his.
these guys are the ones who got me to where I am now because of them.
yeah.
Yeah, because he did stuff in movies before that, but he wasn't like
No.
that movie Once Bitten or whatever.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
Once-
Because that show allowed him to be the nut,
himself, yeah.
That he
the
wanted to
person
be.
that he was, and he was off the charts
Yeah.
funny, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Listen, that show. Most of the comedians
Yeah,
that we know now
yeah.
came from that show. You know, when you're looking at the Wayans brothers,
Yes,
all
absolutely.
of them,
All
you
of
know,
them.
Jim Carrey. We just said
And I don't
Jamie
even think
Foxx.
the younger ones, they were too young back then. They weren't even in it.
No, they were like in the background,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
stuff like.
Right,
doing
but
the
then
dancing
later
and
on they
music
started,
stuff.
and then they
And
did their
the ones
movies.
that were
skits,
scary
the
movies.
sisters.
The ones
Yep,
that- yeah.
yep.
Right,
And then,
exactly.
But and then of course everybody knows Jennifer Lopez was on that, and
Fly Girl.
She was a fly
Yes.
girl. But yeah, man, it was just so many stars. Tommy Davidson, was on it. I mean, it was a literal all-star cast. They
Yeah.
were hilarious. Everything was funny. And when they had the jail skit.
Yes.
Yeah. The perpetration in the situation of the vector matters is what it is that's going to get me out of jail.
Or
Homie, don't play that.
Because homie don't play that.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Or
And he's got them repeating everything. Just a white man.
Right?
That's
Is
what
that
I'm
what it was?
saying,
Men
like
at
the
the movies?
Yes.
Hated it.
Yes,
2 snaps and a
Yes.
circle.
Yes.
Moby was aware. I bet he was.
Yeah. Yeah. All the King's Men. I love that.
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, bro. That
They
show
was so good.
great.
I love the one episode where he turns straight
Yeah.
and he
Oh,
slaps
remember
the
that?
shit out of him.
Yeah.
He snaps back at him.
And he snaps out of it.
That was great. What the hell am I doing here? I
He
don't know.
hated it. He's like, I love that movie.
Yeah.
She was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all like,
Yep.
like you see him getting upset.
And then he sneaks up, the other one sneaks up behind him and hits him with
great.
Greer. Was his name? I
Right.
forget his first name, Greer. But he turned around and hit him with the stick.
David Allen Greer.
David Allen Greer.
you
Thank
agree.
you.
Yo, that shit was fucking great. That was great, man. I said there was a lot of awesome things. Like I said, that's why I say that I think people were feeling comfortable with themselves. They were able to speak easier. There was more, like you said, humanity. People actually cared about what other people were thinking. People wanted
People
to
weren't
grow.
so sensitive.
Right, yeah. And it was all
wasn't
fun.
a big.
But that was also too, I think, because like for us, when we were, in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, we had this thing called Shoot the Dozens, always dissing each other, and we just be sitting there laughing and joking and making fun. So it was things just roll off of our back. It was like whatever.
Right.
So that then now in the 90s, it was just that nifty flow, because wasn't that when, what was the comedy show? It wasn't a comedy show. It was more like reality. Your Mama. That they're making fun of your mama jokes and stuff like that.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was on MTV for a little while too.
Oh, yeah.
Your mama, yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
It was a Fez.
They still
from-
kind of do that now. They still have battles. They still have those kind of
but
battles.
That's Wildin' Out. That's Wildin' Out with Jesus,
Nick Cannon,
Nick
the one
Cannon.
that has-
Yeah,
Jesus
with
is
Nick
on
Cannon.
there?
Yeah.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah. He's making everybody.
Is he any good?
Yeah. He's funny. He's funny. Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, it was a lot of cool things in the 90s that were just, I said, you just have fun. I said, because we were older, so, we were out
Right.
doing the clubbing, the partying still and whatnot.
But we were doing that shit to each other when we were growing up.
Right, yeah.
You know,
making
it did,
fun.
right. We were always goofing on each other, saying something. And if we got mad, we were always, bringing
Right.
up somebody's ethnicity and just being an asshole or doing whatever. And that's just how it was. But not that that was a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's just how we grew up. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't have any place to hide away in a phone or a computer
Right,
or
you
anything
had
like
to be
that.
there.
We
Yeah.
were outside hanging out, playing ball, or going to a club, or doing whatever we were doing. You know?
The video games, the video games were just changing altogether, because we had that one episode on the video games.
yeah.
But the games just started to change. Like,
Well,
now
yeah.
it's-
So you got the Super Nintendo came out.
Right.
Which was a great
I think
system.
91, I think. maybe 90. I figured lose it up. So Super Nintendo came out, and then Nintendo 64 came out.
Yep.
And then don't forget, in the late 90s, PlayStation came out.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Changed.
That changed it all together because the graphics was so amazing. But
91, August 23rd
for Nintendo.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that was a great system.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The hockey was great on that game.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
It was a different
Mario.
culture. Yeah,
Mario Kart came out for Super Nintendo.
It was Mario Kart?
Yeah, Super Nintendo. Mario Kart came out. Super Nintendo was the first game.
That's right. Yeah. I
remember me and my friends. We used to just play all day Mario Kart. We used to just constantly battle. We
were big into hockey. So I was living in Maryland at the time, and my cousin had the Nintendo system, and he had the basement set up, and we would do he would kick everybody's ass in hockey. He would never lose. Yeah. So he would just go round robin through the whole. There'd be 10 of us down there, and he'd beat every one of us. All right, who's next? Let's go. And then he would beat us. And if you beat him, it was some freaky thing that happened and then he got it back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But that was a great game. That was also a great game. But the Mario games were great too, because then we would go on marathons with that fucking thing.
Yeah.
You would just play.
Yep.
And that's really when Sega was
Sega was good.
Was that their thing? Who you did? That sounded like I thought you hit a button.
No, he did that spot on.
That was me, bro. Listen, I love that shit.
But they went crazy. They were like, "Oh, we got Sega CD. It attaches to your Sega Genesis, and you play CD games."
Yeah,
it was it wasn't even.
A cartridge.
Oh my god, you could play video games off a CD. You know, we were all like, that was the first one.
Yeah,
and they did all kinds of wacky shit too. I remember they did the Sonic and Knuckles game.
Yeah,
where you can plug any Sonic game and into the Knuckles cartridge,
on top of it,
and you could play Knuckles in any.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
The double whammy. Yeah, it was fucking cool.
I didn't know that.
Man. Yeah,
you plug the Knuckles cartridge in, and then on top of the cartridge, you plugged in your old Sonic.
Get the hell out of here!
Yeah, and you could play with Knuckles.
Wow.
Yeah, it was freaking insane.
Where the hell
bro.
was I? I was probably
There
out
was all
partying.
kinds of wacky shit like that back then.
Yeah.
Trying new shit. You know?
Yeah, but that's when my nephew and my kids, my son, that's when they were, they were growing up like that.
Yeah, had Game Genie.
Right. Yeah,
got plugged into the system.
Oh
and
my
then
god,
you stuck in there. And you could
Yeah, bro. Yeah, no. It was great. I mean, I said the 90s were fun, man. The 90s were fun.
It was a good documentary to watch too. It's called Nickelodeon: The Orange Years, and they did a documentary about Nickelodeon during that era, like the late 80s and 90s. They called it the Orange Years because that's when they had the orange logo.
I remember that. My kids love Nickelodeon,
and it really blows you away with all this, how drastically different they were from anything. They did not want, I mean, it's different now obviously with the toys, but they would refuse to make toys because they wanted it to be about the programming, kind of like Mr. Rogers. If you watch it, it was very similar to Mr. Rogers' approach. They want it to be about the kids, want it to be their place, and they don't feel like they're just being advertised to all the time.
And wasn't Nickelodeon the one that they would turn off broadcasting for a few hours in the afternoon?
The Nick at Night.
Yeah.
No, they would. That's the thing too. They didn't want kids watching. They were trying to be responsible. And Nick at Night, and they just played all oldies. Like Mr. Ed would come on, Monsters and all that.
I remember because my son, my kids, when watching Nickelodeon, they would come inside. Then it would say when you turn it on the station, it would say, it's playtime. Be outside and play.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. They had all that shit. I was like, what?
Know,
But I used to kick my kids out the house when that came on because, look, everybody on TV is doing it, so you guys can go outside too. And it was a bunch of kids just playing.
That shit could never happen today.
Why not?
I'm just saying it wouldn't. They wouldn't because they're going to lose too much money.
Oh,
you think so?
Yeah, they don't they're not going to That's why things are so much like that. That was you'd never see. That's another thing about the 90s. They were able to do stuff like that.
Right.
Do that. They're not going to tell kids to go, don't watch TV, and we're not going to sell advertisement. To we're not making money off advertisement. So
it was another big show, and my kids loved it. Was the Rugrats. Rugrats?
Yeah,
they
Rugrats.
loved that show back then. That was another big one in the 90s. That was a great animated one. They loved that. So
I watched all them cartoons, man.
Yeah.
I loved all them cartoons. What was your favorite cartoon in the 90s, Tom?
90s. Wow. It's going to have to Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ren and Stimpy. Oh, my God.
I mean, there's so many good ones, but that was the one that came right up.
Yeah. Ren and Stimpy was freaking awesome. That was a Nickelodeon cartoon, too, wasn't it?
Nickelodeon. It was and MTV. They aired it on MTV, but you know they were the same network anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever.
Nickelodeon. I mean, Ren and Stimpy was great.
Thrown by Viacom, so it's the same.
Right.
Yeah,
But
that was cool. In the late 90s, it was Rocket Power.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, there was a Rocket Power, and I only know that because my son was hooked on
Probably
it.
because at that time I was already into.
Doing
I was a teenager at that point.
Powerpuff Girls was my favorite one.
Love
Man.
Powerpuff Girls,
late 90s.
bro.
You see, with cartoons, like I lost everything after that because that's when I started dating, and I know nothing about.
You didn't sit down with your girlfriend and watch Powerpuff Girls?
Dude,
No.
it was listen, Powerpuff Girls was the fucking shit. Bro. Love Powerpuff Girls, but then that's when Cartoon Network was out.
Yeah.
Right. And they were showing all like this when the Johnny Bravo.
Oh, I used to love Johnny Bravo, man.
See all that shit,
Johnny
man.
Bravo was.
I literally missed all the cartoons from the late 90s. Because I was too into dating and partying and
Ren and Stimpy. We just said that.
You're supposed to time it. So you go and hang out with the girls for a little while during the day.
Right.
Then you go home, shave and shower,
and then
watch cartoons. And then you meet up with her at night. That's how
Beavis and Butthead.
But wait, that started in the late 80s?
No,
it's 90s.
Really?
90s.
No kidding.
That's what it says.
Oh, I thought Beavis and Butthead started
93.
Yeah.
MTV.
And it was, I knew it was MTV because they were a video show.
And I wasn't a big, for whatever reason, I just couldn't get into that show, man. I don't know why. Every once in a while I would watch it, but it's just not something that, like I got into. A lot of people loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was funny, but it was just never did anything for me.
It used to annoy me when they would watch music videos and make fun of him.
Right.
As a rewatch,
that's what I'm saying.
I enjoy it better now when they make fun of the music videos.
Yeah, but that was their show. That's how they started. They started with the small clips. It was on like The Simpsons with Tracy Ullman.
It was on Liquid television.
Tracy Ullman, holy shit.
Beavis and Butthead was on Liquid television.
Yeah.
That was a show on MTV. They did all these.
Eon Flux.
Oh, speaking of the 90s, I just bought tickets. My buddy and I, Steven, the one that I voice messaged to,
right?
There's MTV's The State Reunion Tour.
No way.
It's at he said it was Brooklyn, but I realized it's actually Manhattan. I forget where what place it's at, but they're doing two nights. And we bought the tickets last week.
Nice. Yeah. What exactly is that? Is that a band?
No, it was a sketch comedy on MTV in the 90s called The State. You remember the guy was like, "I want to dip my balls in it." Now you know.
Yeah,
now I remember. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's what it's like. I want to dip my balls tour. Or something.
Oh, no kidding.
It's something like that. Yeah,
that's great, man. Yeah, listen, brother, I'm gonna tell you what. If you can get them, go to the, get all those things and see them. Because a lot of that stuff is coming back. Well, not coming back, but they're doing their tours now, you know. And because it's time. I mean, you're looking at 40 years later.
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah. Time flies, bro.
Totally
because, I mean, you're looking at 30 years.
Oh, Breaking Hearts and Dipping Balls tour.
There you go. There you go.
It's at Palladium. It's the Palladium.
That's awesome.
At the Palladium.
When are you going?
Which one?
October 16th.
Oh, nice. We probably should get him on one day.
Yeah, he's a good. He's. You know what? He would have to call in because he lives in Long Island.
Yeah, that's fine. Let him call in. He would be good, kid. You would like him. He's funny. I listen sometimes. Tom would be in the truck or whatever, and they talk back and forth. They send messages by doing the voice
memos.
Yeah, got you.
They don't text. They just talk. And
it's funny because when he's talking, I mean,
right? Because he's delivering.
He's probably hearing me with the tools in the background.
That's awesome.
Clink, 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 clink. So
that's hilarious. That is funny, man. That is great. Yeah, it's cool to fucking. It's
nice to look back.
Yeah, to think about the old stuff, and,
right? And then have someone that you know.
Yeah.
They both do the Arnold thing too.
That's how we start off. Every morning he goes, yeah. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah.
See? We
That's
do it
awesome.
Every morning. That's like our thing. Arnold thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we carry out just yeah. Who's your daddy?
What's he do? Now, when did that come out?
What
was that? The 80s or the 90s?
No, that was the 90s.
Kindergarten Cop was 90s.
Yeah, 90s.
What about Predator?
Predator 80s. Was 90s also.
First one was 80s.
It was like 80 somebody.
I think the second one was 90s, right? Or
no? I think no, man.
Because that one was with Danny Glover, the second one, right?
Yeah, that was the shittiest.
It was sucked. It did suck.
Oh my god!
It was. The only thing I appreciated about that movie was they kind of showed a little when they showed the old elder Predator. That was the only cool scene in that movie when he gives him the gun after he defeats the Predator, and then they're just like fucking there. They're just they just like they were like, we were standing here the whole time,
right, watching you.
Yeah. Predator,
and then you learn that they're like real, like a warrior. They like he's like, I respect you. Here, have this old gun.
Yeah. This vintage shit. Yeah, 1987.
Oh, okay.
In Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I think the other one's like 90 or 91.
Predator 2 was in 90. Then the Predator was in 18. Predators was in 2010.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Alien versus Predator.
Great movie. Well, not really, actually. I wasn't. It was good, but it wasn't one of my favorite ones.
Right. Well, I was. It wasn't one of my favorite. No, but I was digging it. That was in 04 though. So.
Yeah, and that was a crossover anyway. I mean, even though I wasn't crazy about the idea, but
so
whatever, it was.
Real quick, right?
Okay.
So dig it. So if you watch Aliens and Predator, then you watch Prometheus, it all makes sense.
I know.
Then you're like,
there's another one. Isn't there another one?
There's supposed to be a part 2 to Prometheus.
Yeah,
there is a part 2 to Prometheus.
Yeah,
but I didn't see it.
You need to see that. That was good.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
We talked about
because
that
then you
before.
realize how
right.
they evolved into the way they did.
Yes.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's fucking scary.
All right. That's the next one.
But yeah, so like,
but yeah,
the 90s was just like a crazy time though. You know, it's just was so much happening. Like
there was a lot of going.
That happened in the news. Like
right.
You know, first of all, you had the
O.J. Simpson.
You had the
Bronco,
the Berlin Wall,
and that was at the same time the Rangers were playing in the Cup.
The Berlin Wall was in the 90s.
Didn't that come in like 90 or
I don't know.
Or
Let's look it up.
80s?
You might be wrong about that.
No, you know what? It might be 80s. Never mind. I take that back. I'm pretty sure.
See. Now everybody's looking at the phone. Oh, when did that happen?
Well, we got to find out. Maybe we want to get it right, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No. 89.
It was all right. So
I was thinking about.
all right. So that's close enough. But
no,
I get
the
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Gorbachev bang that wall down.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Reagan.
Oh yeah, that's Reagan. Yeah.
That's
So
right.
and then like also the stuff that happened in the 90s was like the first World Trade Center incident happened.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh, the first bombing. I was living in Maryland where they went into the garage and did it that way. I remember that. That was crazy.
And their goal was they couldn't park the car in the spot that they wanted. If they had parked it in the spot they wanted, they planned on one building
pushing it from the other
and toppling the other one over.
But it wasn't. It wouldn't have worked anyways because there was just too much support.
Yeah. That plan wasn't. Thank God.
Yeah. No shit, because that was a doozy.
Yeah, the second one was the worst, but we don't want to talk about that right now.
No. So, what was, I'll say, the most influential thing for you, Tom, in the 90s? Like, what is it that the one thing that you think about, like, oh yeah,
influential?
Well, I mean, for Tom, because that was when he grew up.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like for me, like
we were already young adults and kind of going out.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, like it was, music and partying. Like I was already.
Oh, I thought you meant like one thing that happened.
Oh, anything. Like, I mean,
whatever it might be.
I would say music.
Yeah.
Definitely influenced me more than anything.
Music always did for me. Even it didn't matter what generation it was.
Yeah, see, but for me it was more in because I learned about more.
We grew up with DJing and all that.
Right, yeah,
mixing.
For me it was like the instruments. Like I could listen to a song.
I was one of those kids that like was standing with his Discman.
Yeah,
make sure I hold it because I didn't want it to skip.
You want to skip.
It had skip protection, but it wasn't that good.
Right.
So remember they had to go memory in them, the skip protection.
That's right. That's right.
Shit. Yeah, the Discman.
I used to walk with that. So music was always. I always had my headphones.
Yeah, I loved music. I always did since I was really young.
Right.
So that was always a big influence.
And that's what I'm saying. So then, if it was music, it wasn't like the first thing that you're thinking about wasn't movies. You know what I'm saying? It was the music. Yeah, definitely. It was what the music was saying because it's always like that.
Then too, we can talk about movies.
Yeah, but they said that's when we redo the. We had somebody else on here for the movie day. You know what I mean? Like because there's so many flicks.
Too many.
Yeah.
There are so many.
80s and 90s, I would say, or like you could do one on 80s movies and one on 90s movies.
Yeah,
because
we should do that. That's gonna be one. So everybody, write in, let us know. Yeah, hit us in the comments because that's 80s movies. Your favorite 80s movies. That would be a good one.
Oh, favorite 80s movies?
Favorite 80s movies and music. Just anything like that. Because like I said, for me,
Uncle Buck was
Uncle
90s,
Buck. That was fucking great. I loved Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck was great.
That was the 90s, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that 90s?
Yeah.
It was like 91. He's gonna look it up now.
Yeah. No. Like I said, because like I said, if the music was it because of just what music was saying to you?
Yeah.
Was that like what?
Half baked.
Half-Baked
Yes.
Great movie.
See,
That's a 90s.
No, that was a great movie.
Yeah,
I don't
that
care
was an
how
awesome movie.
corny you
Yeah.
may
I
thought it was.
Trying to feed the horse.
yo, listen,
Buttercup.
that movie.
Butter stuff. No buttercup.
That movie was great, and all those guys in there became. Like,
And there's
stand-up
this guy,
comedians and
Nasty Nate, and he wants to eat my fruit cocktail.
shit. Yes,
And that's when Tommy
Yes.
Chong was in there, and he was supposedly
Yeah.
this crazy martial artist, and nobody
Right.
fucked with him. You know?
But he had the
and he had that little
squirrel.
squirrel in his
Yeah.
pocket or whatever it was, right? And he was feeding them.
yeah.
Watch out, Nasty Nate. He's my bitch.
Yes. Listen, yeah, man. The 90s were fun. 90s were great, man. We had an awesome time, you know, in the 90s. Is that us as adults, you know, already starting our families.
Right.
You growing up and dating and messing around.
It was coming
with
of age, 90s. For
Right,
Me, so
yeah,
it was a big
exactly.
deal for me.
Like the 80s was for us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So that's why I said, you know,
Yeah.
what's that one thing that was like, I guess we would say most influential when you're saying is the music.
Music,
you know?
absolutely. Because I love the fact when we were growing up, when DJ started to come out. So Saturday Night Fever came out, then disco started to kick in, and then it just evolved and went from
Right.
there. And then it was all about the DJs, and then all the radio stations were doing the mixes, and each mix was different. 92
Right.
KTU,
Right.
WBLS.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, and
Yeah.
then Paco,
Yeah.
you know, Jelly Bean Benitez.
Yeah. And,
you
and
know,
that's why. So because then you didn't even have that kind of stuff though, bro.
What?
Like too much of the DJ stuff.
The mixes, the crazy
You know
mixes.
we did have, and it was my favorite thing. K-Rock on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
used to
Oh, my
play
God,
Solid
yeah.
State.
Yeah.
And it would be like trans music and all
Oh,
that.
nice.
They play dance music and trans music, and it would play till like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
From like 11
Yup.
to like 5 in the morning. It would just be dance music,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those guys were alive at Webster. They were at Webster Hall all the fucking
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
That's
And they'll
awesome.
play that trans music like Webster Hall.
Yeah.
It was always like, you know, it was
My
like,
sister used to go to Webster Hall.
yeah.
My sister went to Webster Hall a lot more. I think I maybe went to the front door once and I was like, I'm good.
That trans music from that late 90s,
Mhm.
it was like, they would play like music, it'd be like, ding, 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 Webster Hall. Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
yeah,
ding,
yeah,
ding,
yeah.
ding, ding. You know,
Yeah.
it was always like that. It
Yeah.
would pause and it would just be like, Vice. You know, like it doesn't
See,
make
so, but then Webster Hall for you in the 90s was way different than what I knew it to
Yeah.
be in the 80s.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
Like I said, my sister used to go to Webster Hall all the time. And, you know, it was all the partying like
the
that.
club scene in the 90s were crazy too. Remember you had Exit, you had the Tunnel.
The
you
tunnel.
had
Oh, yeah, the tunnel.
In the 80s, bro.
Limelight.
Yeah,
I used to
Limelight.
go to Limelight all the time. I loved that place, man.
It's
cool.
That place
It's
was
all-
rocking.
Yeah.
Whoever thought about turning an old church into
Now it's a
club?
shopping
Yeah.
center or something like that.
Limelight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
And the tunnel, I haven't even been by the tunnel. I don't even know what the fuck that
I
is
don't
now.
even know.
But
I
the
don't
tunnel
know.
was great. The tunnel was where I first saw DJ Red Alert had gone
Yeah.
with En Vogue, and he put them on the stage, and we got a pop-up concert. I was in love. Oh
My
yeah.
God.
Oh, and I said we got them in the, you know, before they were like famous, and but at the tunnel, it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, the tunnel was a fucking shit, man.
So many clubs in New York at that time, you know.
But then, but wait, so you used to come all the way into the city, to New York City, to
I
party?
wasn't a club goer. No, I went to Webster Hall once. I'm not a big club goer. I had a friend that was a big club goer, but this is going to be in the 2000s. By that time, he was clubbing. I just knew about all the clubs and
okay.
you know, from friends in school, had older brothers.
I used
telling
to-
stories.
Yeah.
and shit
I loved
like that.
going out, man.
Yeah, but
So then, what did you do for fun?
in the 90s,
Yeah,
well, there was a couple clubs that were all, you know, like
Local?
yeah, that like had like all ages.
Okay, I gotcha.
things. So there was this place. Oh, the Music Factory. That was the name.
Oh,
of the
I remember
place.
that.
It was.
well,
on
no,
Route
yours
17.
is in Jersey.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
was
but
in-
that sounds familiar, though. I mean, the
so
music
they
factory.
did have a bar, but they would have all age shows a lot of the times. So like the bar just wouldn't be open, or they would only serve like
Right.
soda and juice or whatever.
Right. Soda and Jews?
Yeah, like
Juice.
Yeah, juice bar. It was a juice bar.
Yeah, what do you think I said?
Yeah, I was fucking with you, bro. Soda and juice. What's Wait a minute.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
So they would do like they would do like sometimes, I don't know, like they'd have bands play there, local bands play there.
Right.
Sometimes they'd have dance music. So like, yeah, they had that. But like most of the time we just hung out the fucking mall.
Yeah.
That's mainly what we did for
Right.
fun.
Okay.
We were fucking mall rats.
Yeah, that was a good movie too, Mallrats.
Yeah. That was filmed in Jersey, Menlo Park Mall.
Yes.
I was just telling my friend, the truck driver. He's like, yeah, I'm delivering. He goes, I got delivered to Menlo Park Mall. I'm like, fun fact, that's where they film Mallrats.
Yeah, that's great.
But
that's
yeah, they we used to just hang out the mall. We used to go to the Garden State Plaza. I grew up in Rochelle Park, so Paramus was right there.
Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Rochelle Park, Bergen County. I was right by. I lived like less than a mile from the Garden State Plaza, so we used to walk there. We used to hang out there. Sometimes our parents would drop us off or pick us up, but and we'd just hang out, smoke cigarettes outside, like we were all fucking cool, because our older
smoking.
brother
I smoked a lot
or like
back then.
or the vending machine from the diner,
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, shit, man.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Really?
Yeah. No shit.
Wow, that was crazy.
Fucking A. Yeah. We're still gonna
Awesome.
keep talking about it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well,
We could do a second episode on this
if we want, sure. Why
We
not?
could do a part 2, or we could do an 80s.
But just so you know, in the 90s, there was a band, 1998, Silver Jews was the name of the band, Random Rules.
That's funny that I said that.
And I just said, when I just goofing around, it's just so everybody knows.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is hilarious.
Yep.
So then with that, we'll finish with the Silver Jews, and I appreciate it.
Not a problem. That's why I looked it up and wanted to make sure.
But that was cool. So yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Nifty little episode on the 80s.
Yeah.
No, actually 90s.
90s.
Wow.
Wow.
You all right? You fall down, hit your head that we didn't
I don't
recognize
know
us
what
yet?
happened.
I agree with him too. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And that was
Am I
actually
the
fucked
only
up.
one
That
here?
wasn't like, it wasn't me messing around with like we did with you the other day. But yeah,
Right.
no, that's good. So yeah, so thank everybody for listening. Like, follow, comment.
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram. What else we got?
That's it for now.
Oh, that's it for now.
Instagram.
That's
Yeah,
it. Why I
Yeah.
feel like there was so much more. Oh no, you can find us and listen to us on everything else.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
you can find- that's right.
On all the genre.
Yeah.
We're everywhere. So
Yeah. So you could definitely find us.
Yes,
Yeah.
find us, listen, like,
Listen
and everything
to
else.
us. You'll enjoy
Yes.
yourself.
So thank everybody for listening. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan.
Hello.